Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We got a bit of a late reaction to the Ballon d'Or, and that is, of course, because I was at the Ballon d'Or. I spent the last 48 hours in Paris. I was in attendance thanks to Ligue 1, who sent me out to do a reportage on Dembele and, of course, the award in general. And it was an honor, honestly, one of the coolest things I've ever done in my life. As a kid, attending a Ballon d'Or would have probably been up there as one of my childhood dreams. So thank you to you guys in general for always supporting me and pushing my stuff forward and kind of giving me the chance to get these kinds of opportunities. It was super, super sick. And yeah, hopefully something I can do again in the future. But having said that, I wasn't able to give you guys my immediate reaction yesterday or whenever you're watching this. So this is 24 hours later, and I've kind of had the chance to digest what happened that night. Now, I'm going to be real. I think a lot of people are probably expecting me to come in here and say the Ballon d'Or this season was a disgrace. This ranking was wrong. This ranking was wrong. The criteria is all... I'm sure a lot of people are expecting me to do that. I think last year I did that. Last year I came in with that kind of energy. But if you guys watched my video a year ago reacting to the 2024 Ballon d'Or, or 2024 Ballon d'Or, you will have caught what I said at the end of it. I said, guys, I think this is the last year I really take the Ballon d'Or this seriously as an award. I'm super happy I got to go, and I think how illustrious and historic a trophy is, I appreciate that. But in terms of actually like caring that much and taking it all seriously and getting involved in these debates and stuff like that, I think last year kind of opened my eyes to think, it's kind of nonsense. Like when you really think about what you guys are arguing, or what we always argue, right? We're really getting mad over the opinion of 100 random journalists around the world. That's really the crux of the debate. We are arguing other people's opinions. An award is given out for 100 people's opinion, and we're arguing their opinions, right? I feel like we're almost like looking at the Ballon d'Or as a prize and going at the Ballon d'Or. How can the Ballon d'Or give this person 7? It's 100 journalists. So when I think about it like that, I'm like, why am I getting so annoyed? It's their opinion. I think it's a garbage opinion, but what can I do about it? What can I do? Honestly, I think the reason the Ballon d'Or holds so much weight still to this day is the fact that the players care so much about it, right? Ousmane Dembele was in tears receiving it last night. He even said it was a dream of his when he was a kid. Salah has been on the record saying that's the one thing in my career I would still love. Well, not the one thing, but it's something in my career I would love to do just for my kids. This means a lot to people. Cristiano Ronaldo used to say, I want to retire with the most Ballon d'Ors. It means a lot to players. They want to win this award. And I think that's the only reason why this award still holds as much almost idolatry at times about it, because it's a great trophy to win. Of course, as an individual, it is the individual trophy to win. But I'm just going to say, guys, the criteria is so wonky and all over the place every single year that I really find it too hard now to get that upset about it, because I almost expect to be let down by who gets voted in what position. And so last season for me was the last year I really looked at it and said, I'm going to care that much about it. Like I look out for it. Obviously, I'd love to be invited more often, but I think when you really get down to it, it's not worth getting angry over. Now, having said all of that, congratulations to Ousmane Dembele, and I think it's a well-earned win. I think he deserved the Ballon d'Or. I know some people are coming out and saying he's not the best player in the world, or, oh, he plays in league. There's so many different arguments, but I think when you look at how the Ballon d'Or has always been voted on, or how it's been voted on over the last 20 years, Ousmane Dembele is a worthy winner. I'm going to give you guys a statistic right now. Since 2006, the Ballon d'Or has been won by 4 people. Let's call it that. It's been won by 4 people. Probably thinking, what do you mean it's been won by 4 people? There's been so many different winners, but hear me out, right? 4 people have won the Ballon d'Or. The first person who wins the Ballon d'Or over the last 20 years is named Cristiano Ronaldo. If you're named Cristiano Ronaldo, you've won the Ballon d'Or in the last 20 years, 2006 to now. The second person is people named Lionel Messi. So if you're Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, you win the Ballon d'Or over the last 19, 20 years. The third person that wins the Ballon d'Or is a player who plays for the Champions League winners. The fourth person that wins the Ballon d'Or is a player that performed incredibly well in that season's international tournament. If you do not fall in the criteria of any of those 4, if you don't fall in any of those 4 boxes, you haven't won the Ballon d'Or since 2006. Think about it. Cannavaro, Italy. 2007, Kaká, Champions League. Messi, Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldo, Messi, Ronaldo, all the way to 2018. Modric. Messi, I mean, let's be real, 2020 is Lewandowski. If they had given the award out that year, he would have won it. 2021, Messi. 2022, Benzema, best Champions League campaign. 2023, Messi, international tournament. 2024, Rodri, international tournament. You could argue it could have been Vinny, but Rodri won because of his international tournament. Let's call it what it is. And then 2025, Dembele, Champions League. So for all the people getting upset that Raphinha didn't win it, or that Salah didn't win it, or that Mbappe's never won it, look, I'm not saying that they are not worthy winners of the Ballon d'Or, right? I'm not saying that they've never been at any point the best player, but the Ballon d'Or clearly has a a criteria that you have to be either so good to Messi and Ronaldo standards that then you can kind of break the criteria, but you have to do one thing in the Champions League or at an international tournament. Clearly, those take priority over the last 20 years in voters' minds. That's what it is. So if we're looking at that criteria, I'm sorry, as much as I love Lamine Yamal, and I love him, he's my favorite player in the game right now. I think he's the best player in the world. I do. But the Ballon d'Or isn't given to the best player in the world. It's given to who they deem had the best season, who's the best performer. And Ousmane Dembele, by all extents and purposes, right, he had the best season. He won everything that was to win at club football. He scored in the biggest games. He was probably PSG's best player. The narrative as well is there for him. I think he's a worthy winner. I don't see how anyone can look at Dembele this season and say robbery. Impossible. He definitely did deserve it. And I'm happy for him in particular, right? Ousmane Dembele has always been a player I really admired. At Dortmund, I was such a huge fan of him, and I have no shame in saying, especially not now, but at one point maybe I had a little shame. I have no shame in saying, when him and Mbappe broke through on the scene at the same time, I was Team Dembele. When they went to Barca and PSG respectively, I was Team Dembele. I was like, oh, this guy, the dribbling, the two-footedness, the unpredictability, I feel like he's a crazy talent just waiting to explode. I remember saying that. I remember arguing with my friends, I'm taking him over Mbappe, right? And obviously the way the last decade has kind of transpired, that for a long time looked like a very, very crazy thing to say. Because while Mbappe has just shot up to the moon, Dembele has really struggled, right? He struggled with injuries. He struggled reportedly with being on time and being a good consummate professional every single day, coming into work. He struggled with his form. He became a bit of a fall guy at Barcelona. And I'll never forget the World Cup final in 2022, where he was hooked before halftime. France are 2-0 down, out of the game. And Deschamps, looking to make an impact in that game, make a change, subbed off Ousmane Dembele before halftime. In that moment, ladies and gentlemen, in December of 2022, Ousmane Dembele hit the bottom of football, relatively, right? He's obviously not playing for a 4th division team, but for a player like him, he hit the bottom. And then you think, 3 years on, Ousmane Dembele has reached the summit. In 3 years, Ousmane Dembele went from the bottom of the game to the top. I'm sorry. You have to be a supervillain to not find that extremely inspirational and take joy from that. That's a wonderful career rejuvenation. That's a wonderful redemption arc. And I think it's so crazy, right? That in that game, Kylian Mbappe scored a hat-trick. Ousmane Dembele was hooked at halftime. If I had told you after that game, guys, I've seen the future. I'm from the future, guys. This is 2022. I'm from the future. In 3 years, Ousmane Dembele is going to win a Ballon d'Or and win the Champions League at the same club Mbappe is playing for. And Mbappe in 3 years won't have it. You would have all called me crazy. I would have called me crazy. And that just, for me, symbolizes how far Ousmane Dembele has come. 3 years ago, if I had told you he would win a Ballon d'Or before Kylian Mbappe, you would have literally said, okay, and it's going to rain pigs the next day. And yet here we are. Ousmane Dembele, a Ballon d'Or winner. I'm so happy for him. His speech yesterday was so incredible. In tears, thanking his family, his close friends, recognizing the journey he's been on. Shouting out Barcelona as well too, shouting out Messi. I thought it was a beautiful speech, and honestly, like a really beautiful Ballon d'Or. I mean, there was a crowd ahead of me. I think they gave tickets to like kids from the local area who were clearly PSG fans, but the Ousmane Ballon d'Or, Ousmane Ballon d'Or, like they were screaming it. It was like, wow, this feels like the people's champion. I know Benzema a few years back, he said, c'est le Ballon d'Or du peuple, right? Like that's basically Dembele times 2. Parisian, bring it back for his club as well too, that are in Paris. Incredible scenes, man. So I'm very, very happy for him. And again, like, I'm looking at the rest of the list. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm looking at. I'm like, this is garbage, right? Cole Palmer at 8th is actually insane. That's one of the worst Ballon d'Or placements I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to be so real. I love Cole Palmer. I think he's an amazing player. But last season that he had wasn't even better than the year before. Cole Palmer was better 2 seasons ago than he was this year. And this is why, for me, the Ballon d'Or, guys, like, you can only get so angry so many times. Cole Palmer had a much better season in 23-24 than he did in 24-25. In 23-24, he finished 25th place. In 24-25, he finished what? 8th. Bro, he jumped up 17 places in a year in the same season where he scored 1 goal in 6 months. Now, a big part of that is down to the Club World Cup final. But guys, I'll be real. I don't even think he was Chelsea's best player in that Club World Cup across the whole tournament. I think in the final he played amazing, but I think Caicedo was better than him in that Club World Cup. How he's made 8th is like, I feel like the journalists looked at who the names they recognize are. Cole Palmer is a big name in the game right now. He's really kind of growing in a reputation. And they put him 8th. And I'm sorry, anybody. Again, this is why. How angry can you really get? Anybody who seriously thinks Cole Palmer was better than Pedri Gonzalez last year needs to be checked by a therapist. They need to be admitted into a hospital. You can only get so angry at something like that, right? Like, you can only get outraged so much by Cole Palmer finishing above Pedri last season. Like, it's laughable, bro. It's laughable. Him finishing above Kane, finishing above so many of these names, right? It's literally a laughable thing. But a lot of talk was made about Mohamed Salah finishing 4th. Look, I'm going to say this about Salah. Salah, for me, put together the best league campaign of any single person on this list. I think his individual league campaign was the best of all of these guys. But again, as I said, this Ballon d'Or almost always gets decided on your Champions League exploits and your international exploits. Obviously, there was none of that this year, but Salah in the Champions League scored 3 goals in the group stage and then put together 2 relatively poor performances, not even for his own standard, in general, against PSG in the round of 16. Guys, like, you're not going to win the Ballon d'Or being eliminated from the round of 16 in the Champions League. It's not going to happen. I don't think has it ever happened? I know Owen won it in 01. He wasn't even in the Champions League, but realistically, you are not winning the Ballon d'Or with that. Now, he had an amazing league campaign, and I think it's why he finished 4th as well. But I feel like his league campaign, that's the reason why he won PFA Player of the Year. To then say, oh, he was robbed of the Ballon d'Or. Did anyone go into this year's Ballon d'Or expecting Salah to win it? I don't really think so. Now, another thing is I keep hearing from some people saying, oh, the Ballon d'Or, for me, I don't take it seriously because how is someone like Kane or Salah not won the Ballon d'Or? Because look at how many years they've been doing it at this level. First of all, the Ballon d'Or is not a lifetime achievement award, right? Otherwise, Iniesta would have a Ballon d'Or, Henry would have a Ballon d'Or. There's been a lot of players that have done amazingly throughout their careers and had a long stretch of unbelievable form that don't have a Ballon d'Or. Because the Ballon d'Or is decided on one individual season. Were you the best in the world that season? And ultimately, in the eyes of the voters, for those players, there was someone above them. And I ask for Salah and Kane, I'll ask you guys this. Have Kane or Salah ever had a season where categorically they had the best campaign of any player in the world? Now, notice I didn't say, do you think they were the best player that year? Have they had a campaign that was like categorically the best of anyone for one season? Kane has never had that. That is not even a question, right? So he could score 40 goals a season, right? No one has ever come out of a season saying Kane was the best player in the world that year. So why does he? That's not how the Ballon d'Or is decided. At the end of his career, maybe they give him an award, but the Ballon d'Or is for one season. Kane has never been the best player in the world or had the best season one year in his career. Maybe this year we'll see, but to this point, no. Salah has had many years where, and look, I think Salah has definitely finished lower than he should have on a few occasions. I always go back to 21-22, where I couldn't believe Mane finished above him. Now, again, international football, we know the Ballon d'Or values that, but I'm sorry, I watched that whole season. Mane was not better than Salah, but they gave him it because of the AFCON. So I think Salah has definitely ranked too low at times, but Salah has never had one season in his career where you come out of the season and say he had the best season of any player in the league, in the world, ever, right? Let's look at his seasons, 2017, 2018. He had an amazing debut campaign for Liverpool, broke the Premier League scoring record, but he didn't win any trophies that year. And Modric won the Ballon d'Or, but Cristiano Ronaldo didn't win the Ballon d'Or that year. The guy scored how many goals that season? Won the Champions League, top scorer in the Champions League. Good international performance against Spain as well, too. Would someone say Salah had a better campaign that year than Ronaldo? Or Messi that year as well, too? Messi almost went invincible in the La Liga. He wasn't the best. He didn't have the best season that year. Another year, right? 21-22. He started the season amazingly. I think he finished the campaign both the top scorer and the top assister. But again, Liverpool didn't win the Premier League, but also he didn't have a better season than Benzema that year. So I think we get caught up in like, oh, Salah's been so good for so long, so how has he not won one of them yet? But he hasn't won one of them because you need to be, just to win one. Look at Dembele. Dembele's never been nominated for a Ballon d'Or before. This is the first time. But all it took was one, because for that 1 year, he was viewed as the best season. I don't think Salah has had that. And granted, Salah has like seasons where there was more competition, right? 2018, you're up against Ronaldo and Messi. Dembele's up against Vitinha and an 18-year-old. But that's what you're up against. That's the Ballon d'Or. It's for 1 year. So I'm going to be real, right? Like, could you believe Salah had a better season than Vitinha? Sure. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would have had Salah over Vitinha. For me, Vitinha at third is too high. I don't think Vitinha played better than Pedri this year, but I understand why also they put him above him. But I would put Salah, but putting Salah over Ousmane Dembele, I'm sorry, like, I don't know how you can realistically argue that when you know how this award is voted on. And another thing as well, too, that I don't like is people saying, Ousmane Dembele plays in the French league and these guys play in La Liga. Well, what can he do, bro? He plays in the French league. That's the league he plays in. Should he just not play the season then? Because in your eyes, it doesn't matter, right? It's not as good as the Premier League. So nothing he does in that should matter. Well, then why even play the league? Not on top of that, then he went to the Champions League and played all the best teams in the world and dominated. That is a weird argument for me. Other things I looked at on this list, Raphinha, fifth as well, too. For me, I never had Raphinha as my winner, simply because I've never watched the Barcelona game in my life and came out of it thinking he was the best player on the team. But fifth feels a little low. I would have had him 3 to 4. Other people on this list, Kane at 13. Let me pull up the list for you guys, actually, just so you know what I'm talking about. So Salah at 4th, Vitinha at 3rd, Raphinha at 5th. I probably would have the order here. To be honest, Pedri would be in my top 5. I think it was unbelievable this season. I probably would have put Hakimi over Vitinha. I think Hakimi was unbelievable this season. And you guys know me, fullbacks, goalkeepers, I don't usually give them their flowers, but Hakimi almost revolutionized the position for me this year. I've never seen a right back play the way he does. Cole Palmer should be nowhere in the top 10 for me. Mendes and Donnarumma were exceptional. I hear it, but also like we get to a point like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 10 are PSG. Of the top 15, 7 of the top 15 are PSG. Like at the end of the day, if everyone from PSG is in the top 15, maybe it's not just one player. Maybe it's a really good team as a unit. Harry Kane for me at 13 is way too low. I say it's low. It's way too low. He should be in the top 10, I would say. Vinicius Jr. being over Lewandowski is ridiculous. Him being over João Neves for me is ridiculous. The guy took half the season off. I can't believe that. Oh, Van Dijk being 28, criminally low. How is Declan Rice above Van Dijk? That doesn't make any sense to me. Olise being below Wirtz is hilarious. One of them won the Bundesliga and he was exceptional. The other had a less good year than the year before. I think Olise was definitely better than Wirtz this season. For me, Vinicius being at 16th above all of these names, I don't know about all that, to be honest with you. But like I said, what am I going to do, man? You guys want me to get mad about what my man from Albania is saying about this player? That's his opinion, bro. It's his opinion. Now, you could ask, should the voting for the Ballon d'Or change? Who should vote on it? I don't know, man. I'm a little torn because I feel like whoever you kind of give the voting responsibility to, they're all going to give you flawed answers. I think if you give the players the decision to vote, I don't know if you'll love their answers either, because the players don't watch every single game of the season. They'll probably go based on how the players played against them, but that's only 1 or 2 games. Like Inter would probably say Yamal would deserve the Ballon d'Or because of the performance they gave. But I just don't think that's the best way to do it either. But there has to be a different way of voting, man. I think you really need to put experts, and I put emphasis on experts. By the way, I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I think you really have to give this to people who, like, they'll say, okay, I'm going to lock myself in a room for a week, watch back all of these guys' performances, just so I know categorically this guy should be here, this guy should be here, this guy should be here. Because I look at someone like Cole Palmer again, not to just like pile blame on him, because it's not his fault, it's the journalists. But I'm sure a lot of these journalists probably just watched the Club World Cup final, saw how good Cole Palmer was. They know Cole Palmer is a big name. And they're like, yeah, Cole Palmer, he has to be number 10. He has to be in my top 10. Come on, man. Like, he's not anywhere near the top 10 players of the past season. But maybe that's what you guys should let me know in the comment section below. How should the Ballon d'Or voting be changed? Or should it be changed? Maybe you like the way it is, but I'm going to guess that you guys probably don't. If you guys could change how the Ballon d'Or is voted on, what would you guys do it on? What would be the criteria you guys would value the most? One thing for me is I definitely don't think it should just be a case of who has the most goals or who has the most GA. Guys, there's a Golden Boot award for that. There's a top scorer award for that. I think football is more complicated than just who scored the most goals. Because first of all, Van Dijk would never make a list if that was the case. But someone like Yamal didn't have the most goal contributions or even goals this season. But I'm sorry, when you watch Lamine Yamal, you know you're watching, if not the best player in the world, a top 3, top 4 player. And that doesn't matter if Kane or Gyökeres scored more than him. You know what you're watching. So what would be your criteria? How would you like to see the Ballon d'Or kind of be decided? And yeah, let me know as well too, who do you think is the worst decision? Like, not the one you disagree with the most in terms of like, oh, this guy's too high, but in terms of who's too low. Who would you say is the guy who got done the most disservice from this Ballon d'Or list? Let me know that in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, guys. Good to be back as well too. And I'm just gonna repeat what I said at the start. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you give me. You guys push me to make more. You guys really push my stuff out as well too. You guys show me so much love, and it really allows me to kind of be put up for opportunities like this. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, can't wait to see where this thing keeps going. See you guys soon. Peace.